Hey everybody, welcome back to CCG. You're here with Carlos and Mario, and we're going to be going over Mario's Orange Yamcha, like 12.0 now, right?
Yeah, man.
Alright, so we're running the newest Orange Mastery, right?
Retribution, yeah.
Alright, so we're running Retribution. And so what made you decide to pick the Retribution Mastery even though, well, I mean, obviously aside from the set 1 Mastery being frozen?
Because Adept Mastery is more of a physical beats type mastery, and I don't think it's a bad mastery. I just think it's not as playable in a competitive meta. The way that this meta is headed, it's a lot of leveling, it's a lot of actions, and I feel like Adept Mastery, Orange Adept, doesn't give the same action capability and the same leveling capability as a Retribution. Also, I paired Retribution with Yamcha because Yamcha's a really solid MP. And going back to this meta, it's a lot of action-heavy meta. It's extended combat meta. So Yamcha gives you the extended combats when you want them. It gives you the ability to end combat when you don't want it. It's very strong. This deck is very different from the original deck that I constructed back with Adaptive Mastery, Orange Adaptive Mastery, because the Orange Adaptive Mastery was more of a control build. This is more of a leveling aggro build, doing a lot of poke damage, and it can win by survival, by beating your opponent to death, and it can win by MPPV. So.
Alright, so are we running drill package like with adaptive, or are we running like smaller, bigger? What's it looking like?
Well, the drill package is definitely smaller. The drills are really in here for the utility that they give you. You're not necessarily reliant directly on the drill. So in total non-combat drills and setups, you're looking at 14 cards.
Okay.
So let's start with the drills. The first drill, which you have to run 2 of, in my opinion, is the Captivity drill. This deck, the biggest bulk of the deck is your energy combats. It's gaining anger outright, and Captivity drill really helps you out with gaining the additional anger, and it really helps you out with keeping your stages high. I feel like this meta is really physical, and I feel like this card, it gives you a lot of utility. So I run 2 of it. Then we run Examination drill. Again, going back to the meta being very anger heavy, you need to kind of run it to help yourself gain more anger or to manipulate your opponent's anger whenever you use a hit on any card. So this can prop with your Yamcha level 1, and if you have Captivity drill in play, technically you're getting a hit ability from any energy that hits from Captivity, and then you can trigger that. So they both trigger each other.
Okay.
So there's a lot of synergy with it. Next drill you need to run is the Investigation drill, Orange Investigation drill. Really, it's in here for a wall breaker, but it does a whole lot more versus blue with the head knocks. Anytime that they lower your anger, even other orange decks, you need to protect your anger in a way, and this is the main way of doing it. I'm actually thinking of increasing this number to 2. I just haven't found the space for it. But in this meta where wall breaker is out there, you really kind of need it. And with all the anger lowering, you really do need it. Then the next drills that I run, Crying drill, pretty simple, straightforward, power to gaining anger, and then you can shuffle it if you find yourself in a stage pinch to gain more stages. And then the last set of drills that we run are one of each of the blocking drills. They're standard. You can fetch them first turn with Retribution Mastery being able to get a power drill because it's non-continuous.
Right.
And versus physical beat decks like Goku, this level 1 paired with this block drill is just really, really hard to get around. And even energy-based decks, like you can still fetch this out. And Yamcha isn't really that afraid of the energy-based decks. So that's it for the drills. Going to the rest of the non-combats and setups, we run 2 VTPs, very standard. It's a great card, self-explanatory.
Right, time to lecture.
Right. Then we run Orange Encouragement. This is a new set card. This card is really awesome because it can immediately fetch a drill from the discard pile coupled with the immediate anger. But then on top of that, if you've leveled, which isn't that hard to do in this build in particular, you can search from your life deck as well. So it's kind of like a mini mastery That's how I like to refer to it. It doesn't give you as much anger, but it gives you more tutor ability.
Okay.
Which sometimes is better. And then, of course, 3 expert assistants. You have to run the card. That card is so great.
Too good not to.
Yeah, it's too good not to. It's a staple with Yamcha. And this is the main reason why Yamcha is a superior MP in this meta. If you can prop this, like set this up and then execute it effectively, you could really have devastating combats against your opponent. And they just sit there and they can't do anything.
So being able to play expert assistants when you have 0 stage, is that something that you see a lot, or because of the being able to block because of the drill, and all the other support that you have as far as stopping attacks, is that something that happens a lot, or is it something that just it's a really nice occasion to have?
I mean, it's nice when you have the expert assistance in your hand and then you're at 0, you can play it. It's an extra action. It keeps you going in combat. I typically don't find myself playing it. In this deck in particular, I find myself gaining a lot of stages via leveling. So it almost never... I mean, if it's in your hand, it's mostly a dead card unless it's a really heavy physical beat deck. But, I mean, besides the point of being able to play it during combat, I mean, that ability on itself is really great for non-combat cards. Just the fact that you draw an extra card and then pass for your opponent, 2 consecutive passes. Like, this is a great combat ender or great advantage gainer. I normally like to use this just to end the combat. But, again... Great card. You got to run it.
All right. So what are we looking like in terms of events?
So in terms of events, the 1 sphere.
Right.
I only own 1 sphere. I've said this before in the Piccolo deck. So I'm going to keep it at 1. But I've actually found that 1 is a pretty good number. This meta doesn't have a whole lot of really powerful events. I mean, it does, but they're not really a problem in my experience so far. So I just run it at 1, and I think it's very good tech. You can fetch it with VTP if you need it, or hold on to it. Then 1 time, it's a pretty self-explanatory card. It's a staple.
Gotta have it, yep.
2 confrontation. I wanted to fit it at 3, but through testing, I found that 2 was a good number. It was consistent enough to where you need it. The problem with confrontation in this build is that if it was more of a control-oriented build, I would probably run it at 3. Since it's more of an anger level build, you're going to probably want to cut it to 2 just so that you can have extra anger cards.
Right. So on previous builds, it was at 3, but it doesn't fit so well this time.
And then, of course, enhanced reflexes. It's an extra omni block. I mean, disc isn't as prominent anymore, so it's not as great. But, I mean, there's still some named attack cards that you're gonna want to stop and then make them deal no damage. Like it's very beneficial, and even now and then you might see 1 Krillin with a disc, so it'll work out. And then extra omni block, it's great.
Still around.
Krillin's still around, yeah.
All right, so now seeing as how this is an orange Yamcha, I'm gonna assume that there's not a whole lot in terms of physical combats, but what are we looking at?
Yeah, so in terms of physicals, we're looking at let's go over the blocks.
Okay.
You have to run 3 Yamcha's Rescue. I mean, it's self-explanatory. 1 endurance, ending the combat, omni block. I don't know why they printed this card.
Yeah.
This is retarded. Outright. No offense to anybody, but it's too good. Then we run 3 refocuses. I see a lot of people being very skimpy on physical blocks. I don't understand that. I mean, yeah, I am running a very low amount of physical blocks, but in this deck it kind of makes a little more sense. But the 3 refocus, I mean, the insta anger, the endurance 1, and then fetching a drill from the discard pile. In a pinch, any drill that's in your discard pile, if they ever get destroyed, you can always fetch it back. And I find this card, I think it's a staple. I've been running it since the first orange deck that I had, and I don't ever see myself cutting it. It's a great card. And then for physical attacks, surprisingly enough, I only run 2 of them, but
they're there.
They're there. It's the Devastating Blow. Devastating Blow, the reason that I found myself running it, I used to have Orange Aggression in place of it. And Orange Aggression is a great card The only problem that I was having it is that it was having with that card is that it was backfiring on me. It's not a very setup heavy meta. It can work against the slumber decks. It can work against VTPs if you find yourself that you don't want your opponent to VTP. It's nice because of the 1 endurance, but it was backfiring. So I swapped it to Devastating Blow, which gives you the discard pile hate against the Goku decks, and a lot of the meta really relies on the discard pile. And then the anger hate is awesome as well, and then the instant anger. So it does its job. It's not the best, but it's there for utility. And that's pretty much it for the physical combats. I don't run a whole lot of other physical. The main bulk of the deck is actually...
let's see it.
Yeah, the main bulk of the deck is actually energy. So when you stack it up, I
What
think
is that, like 25?
30, 32?
32?
So you're half of your deck.
Yeah.
Half of your deck is actually energy combats. Matched up with everything else, I mean, it is a very big bulk, but you're not scared to do that because a lot of them cost you only 1 stages, and then leaving from 1 to 2, everything just becomes free. So you're hitting for free life cards every single time, and you're gaining enough anger, and you're netting enough actions to keep up with the Goku decks. You're able to keep up with the Ginyu decks if they're still out there. Some of them still are. So I find that it works. But let me just go over the energy base to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So starting with the blocks, I run 3 energy catches. And the reason I run it is because, well, 3 endurance, and then you gain the 1 anger. So if you're MPPVing, I mean, you're going to want the highest endurance card. There's other energy blocks that net some more anger, that net stages, but I felt like the 3 endurance, yeah, I couldn't pass up on it. So that's that. Then we have Allied Blitz. I only have one because I only was able to pull one. I've been trying to find it everywhere. I can't for some reason. This card in Yamcha is great because you perform it and then your opponent gets 1 action. And then after that, you just start steamrolling all the cards from your hand. And if you have an expert assistant on the board, you can pretty much play this, start going ham with all your actions. As long as they're energy attacks, they have to skip. And then when you're done playing all the cards in your hand, you can, okay, well, I'm going to draw. You have to pass twice, so I get 1 more action. And then you can end the combat, or you can throw another action out there. So it's a great combo piece. The hit mechanic doesn't really matter, even though it can trigger off the investigation drill. But, I mean, that's not really that relevant. But this card is ridiculous. If I could, I would fit more of it. I just got to find the more copies. Also, the Endurance 3. Like, wow. And it costs 1 stage. So then we're going to go over the real staples of Orange. Orange Stare Down. It kind of weak in the deck because it doesn't generate the anger, but I feel like I could not run an orange deck without the card. It's just too good. 3 orange power points. Orange power point, another staple, 3 endurance, 6 life. Again, doesn't generate the anger. However, if you search out a orange captivity, or if you search out an orange investigation, it can generate the anger because you're triggering the hit mechanics. Those are competing timings that happen. I mean, just being able to search any drill, it's great utility. It works. It has a lot of synergy with this mastery because they shuffle in when you level, so you're almost always guaranteed to get them. The hardest part is the drills in the discard pile, but it works really great. And it's a staple in my opinion. Then we have 2 orange revenges, netting you 1 anger instantly, deals 4 life cards, and then the hit mechanic is really great because you can fetch energy combats, 2 energy combats from your discard pile, and you put them on top. So really, I run this so I can try and loop the Allied Blitz, play Allied Blitz, and then use this to put it back on top and then hopefully draw it with Yamcha or Expert Assistance. But I really like this card. It's proved out to be pretty strong. Then I run 2 orange Combined Blast. It's really just in here for the 1 anger and then 1 instant anger manipulation. 3 life cards. The hint ability isn't that great. You do find yourself using it every now and then if you're trying to seal a game in terms of damage. But it's really just in here for the anger, and it costs 1 stage. So here you're going to start seeing a lot of the attacks costing 1 stage. This is what I'm talking about. Free attacks. Precise Shot, another staple of orange cards. The 2 endurance is ridiculous. This card has been great since set 1. 3 life cards. If it hits, which more often than not, it almost always hits. 1 anger, and then you search their deck for a card. You can get rid of it. This is great, like anti-wall breaker removal. This is another main way of getting rid of wall breaker off of you, but you just preemptively do it. But this card is amazing, in my opinion. It's not a heavy hitting card, but I mean, who cares? Orange Electricity, 1 anger immediately, 4 life cards, only costing 1 stage. So again, once you start hitting the higher levels with Yamcha, it becomes free. And then it gives you the ability to prevent your opponent's damage in their next attack in that combat. So you kind of then put your opponent in a pinch where they have to do a non-attack action if they want to do a non-attack action, because you're going to prevent that damage, unless it's an unpreventable attack. But I mean, it gives you combat control, which is, I think, pretty neat. Then Orange Eruption, we're starting to get into the 2 anger cards. This card doesn't do a whole lot in terms of damage, but in terms of utility, it's awesome. 2 anger immediately that you gain, 2 anger immediately that you lower, and then 2 life cards. So it almost always hits, and this is almost always guaranteed to trigger with Captivity, because who's gonna really sit there and stop a 2 life card attack? So this is almost always 3. 3 anger on the board and 1 action, which is ridiculous. I love this card. I see a lot of people, a lot of people have started playing it recently, but this is an awesome card.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so after that we have the Orange Left Burst. Left Burst is another 5 life card, energy attack, and it gives you 2 anger instantly. The only problem with it is if you have not leveled, so it kind of forces you to play it first, but it's not terrible. And then if it hits, like, the hit ability is really nice. If you ever get one of your blocking drills or any one of your drills with power on it, so the block drills or the crying drills, if they get banished, you can always rejuve them, and gives you a way to fetch them back. So I think this card is nice. It's worked out pretty well. Orange Fierce Attack. So let me tell you how, if you don't run Orange Fierce Attack, you should run Orange Fierce Attack, because this is a style dig with endurance. And then the hit mechanic for 2 anger, getting 2 anger and then de-leveling 2 anger from your opponent is just amazing. It's almost a 4 anger swing card. I cannot express to you how many times I've been wall breakered, and just constantly recycling this card has been able to win you the game. Pitching damage, even if it's small, like, and you guys have seen the attacks, it's always like 2-3 life cards of damage, but that pitch unpreventable damage really starts to pile on. This is an amazing card, and I don't know why Panini printed that, but I will gladly take it. And then lastly,
I'm still waiting on a black.
And then lastly, Orange Rage. Endurance for 1, which is great. Energy for 2, and then it's 5 life cards of damage, which is solid. 2 anger immediately. Pretty vanilla, but it gets the job done. It does what you need it to. And that's the last of the energy attacks, and that pretty much compiles the entire deck. So again, going from the MP levels, the purpose of the deck really is to go from 1 to 2, and then from 2 onwards, play everything for free, play everything to net yourself as much anger rapidly as fast as you can, and try an MPPV. The only problem this deck really has is wall breaker, but I've found in just playing at the locals and in testing, whenever you do get the wall breaker on you, you can go for the survival. You can beat down. I mean, it's not the best. It does make the game tight, but you can do it. As long as you're not on Yamcha 1, if you're on Yamcha 2, 3, or 4, you can really go for the beatdown, and it really sucks for them. It really sucks for them. If there is one level that you're going to get wall breaker on you, I would say it has to be either 2 or 4, because Fierce Attack on those levels, 2 constantly gets you the Fierce Attack, and 4 just, +3 on everything, -3 on everything. Good luck trying to stage lock me, because it's not gonna happen. And then it has pretty much a base 7 life card attack. In the tournament we played today, I actually got wall breakered on I think it was level 2, and fierce attack just nailed put the nail in that coffin for him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I feel like it's a very solid deck. I feel like it can handle the physical decks fine. The energy decks can handle them pretty well. The one weakness, like I said, it would be wall breaker or head knock. But yeah, head knock
3 turns in a row.
Yeah, head knock. If you get head knock 3 turns in a row, I mean, GG. But this, if you see blue, play this. I mean, again, this is why I think this drill. I think the one thing I need to increase is this drill to a higher number. I don't know what to cut for it.
Hashtag head knock should probably say set to 0, but hey, Panini, I'm not gonna write your cards for you.
Hashtag screw head knock. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. So with this Yamcha, MPPV is the most likely goal, but beatdown is not very far behind, especially with unpreventable on stage 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, beatdown isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but you can beat down when you want to, and the main goal here is really to MPPV. It's in my opinion, I think it's better than the Orange Roshi. Not to knock the Orange Roshi decks, because that deck is really, really fast. The differences between Yamcha and like a Roshi deck or a TN deck is that Yamcha on every level gives you minus anger for your opponent. And then in this meta, where it's a very angry meta, I feel like anger hate on an MP is stronger than anger on an MP. Especially when the card base just gives you the anger inherently. That's my reasoning for it. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's worked out for me so far. I've only had one loss in the tournament. So
you gave
that, yeah. Well, no, I lost to a Red Ruthless Goku, but I mean.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a given.
That's not fun when you get unleashed straight to 4.
Yeah, on turn 1.
Yeah, but I mean that game could have really gone either which way. So,
alrighty. So, again, guys, thank you for tuning in to CCG. I'm Carlos. This is Mario.
Yep.
And that's Yamcha.
Fear the Yamcha.
Fear the Yamcha.
Fear the Yamcha.
Fear the sleeping Yamcha. Anyway, guys, we'll catch you next time. Stay tuned and find out what happens next time on CCG.